You're the kind of person people feel comfortable around almost instantly. Conversations with you flow easily, like there's never any friction, like you naturally know how to keep things smooth. People describe you as kind, easygoing, someone who's just nice to be around. You rarely create tension, you don't make things awkward, and somehow, you always manage to keep the atmosphere balanced. And yet, when everything gets quiet, there's this feeling you can't fully explain. It's not loud, but it lingers. It's not that you don't have people in your life. It's that something feels missing, like you exist in everyone else's world, but no one really steps into yours. And the strange part is, you can't even point to what's wrong, because technically, everything is fine. So why does it still feel like you're alone? Think about a moment you've probably experienced many times. You're sitting with a group of people, maybe friends or co-workers, and everything is going well. People are laughing, the conversation is flowing, and you're right there in the middle of it. You're responding at the right moments, adding just enough, keeping the energy steady. From the outside, it looks like you belong completely. But internally, something feels slightly disconnected. You're not just participating, you're managing yourself. You're choosing your words carefully, adjusting your tone, holding back certain reactions. You're constantly reading the room, making sure nothing you say shifts the mood too much. And in that process, something subtle happens. The version of you that people are interacting with isn't fully you. It's the version you've learned to present, the one that keeps everything safe. People who are liked by almost everyone often develop a very specific psychological pattern. They become highly adaptable. They learn how to read people quickly, how to mirror emotions, how to avoid tension before it even starts. It's a skill that makes social interactions feel effortless and smooth. But this adaptability comes with a hidden cost. When most of your attention is focused on maintaining comfort for others, you slowly lose connection with your own natural responses. Instead of asking yourself what you genuinely feel, you start focusing on what would keep everything stable, what would make you easier to be around. Over time, this becomes automatic. You stop noticing the difference between who you are and who you present. This pattern usually begins much earlier than you think. It often forms in environments where being fully yourself didn't always feel safe or accepted. Maybe certain emotions were too much for the people around you. Maybe expressing disagreement created distance. Or maybe you learned that being calm, agreeable, and easy to deal with was what kept relationships stable. So, your mind adapted. It created a version of you that could fit into different situations without creating friction. A version that could keep people comfortable, avoid rejection, and maintain connection. And that adaptation worked. It helped you navigate relationships, avoid conflict, and feel accepted. But over time, it created something else. A gap between who you are and what you show. This shows up in ways that are easy to miss. You might agree with things you don't fully agree with, just to keep things smooth. You might laugh at jokes you don't really find funny, or hold back opinions that feel too strong or too different. You become skilled at staying within the version of yourself that people expect. Another example is when you're texting someone and you rewrite your message multiple times before sending it. Not because you don't know what you want to say, but because you're trying to say it in a way that won't be misunderstood, won't create tension, won't shift how they see you. Even something simple becomes something you carefully adjust. Or when someone asks you how you are, and you automatically say, "I'm good," even when you're not. Not because you're hiding something intentionally, but because it feels easier than opening up, easier than risking a reaction you can't control. Over time, people start to associate you with a certain role. You're the easy one, the calm one, the one who never makes things complicated. And while that makes you likable, it also creates distance. Because the more you stay in that role, the less space there is for the parts of you that don't fit it. And that's where the loneliness comes from. Not from a lack of people, but from a lack of being seen. So the reason you feel alone isn't despite the fact that everyone likes you. It's because of it. Because what people like is the version of you that you've learned to show, not the full version of who you actually are. And somewhere deep down, you can feel that difference. You can feel that something about the connection isn't complete, even if everything looks fine on the surface. It creates this quiet contradiction. You're surrounded by people, yet emotionally distant. You're appreciated, but not fully understood. You're included, but not deeply known. And the more you rely on being liked, the more this pattern continues. Changing this doesn't mean becoming a completely different person. It doesn't mean pushing people away, or suddenly saying everything you've been holding back. It starts much smaller than that. It starts with allowing small, real parts of yourself to exist in your interactions. Saying what you actually think, even if it slightly disrupts the flow. Expressing how you feel, even if it doesn't perfectly match the mood. Letting yourself be just a little less perfect to be around. Because real connection doesn't come from being easy to like. It comes from being real enough to be known. And yes, some people might like you less when you start doing that. But the ones who stay will finally be connecting with you, not just the version you learned to be. And that kind of connection feels different. It doesn't feel like effort. It doesn't feel like performance. It feels like being seen. Maybe for the first time.